Welcome back to On Deck Circle Podcast. I am your newly groomed host because I got a haircut and a shave today. And welcome back. It's going to be our last show for a couple weeks because I am going abroad. Because believe it or not, my wife does not want me to be recording a fantasy baseball podcast on our honeymoon. Anyway.
Unacceptable.
It is my favorite part of the week. That is the cold open question of the week. And I want you to tell me a job. You're not allowed to say your own because I feel like this might apply to you. Definitely applies to 90% of everybody. What job do you feel is underrated, as in they do not nearly get paid enough money for the amount of work that they do? All right? Ready, set, go. All right, Jason. So what do we got?
I mean, the easy and I think cliche answer is teacher, right? I feel like they are very underappreciated. However, they do get 3 months off in the summer and every holiday within the calendar year. So there's a little bit of perks to that. But man, I don't know. There's so many. I think there's so many. I'm just gonna stick with the most cliche one and go with teacher.
I'm going with a barber.
Okay.
The amount of work that these men, well, mine's a man, men put in, and women, just like they're banging out haircuts after haircuts. They're not taking, so like my haircut costs like $40. They're not getting that. You need to actually tip them. And people don't really like, people are like, I'll give them like $5. So say they get $12 a haircut. I mean, 12 haircuts in like a day. And that's probably even being generous. That's only $60. So I mean, they do get like hourly rate, of course. But like haircuts are so crucial to like you get a good haircut, you're feeling good about yourself. So you gotta just tip an extra few bucks because they're not making it. I don't know how barbershops really like stay in like open.
I feel like a lot of them are just like individual contractors. You know what I mean? Like they just pay for a chair within a barbershop.
That's also true. So I guess it would also just be like the owner of the. I know a couple owners at barbershops, and I just feel like they're always like up against it, and they're always like, I really need some people to come in. But like, I'm not going to go to a Supercuts.
No.
My Rafael Devers to cut my hair. You know.
Yeah.
A little Dominican.
The good thing is about me is that, I just do my own, I just don't have to really worry about that too much.
True. Again, that's a segment of people that they're just closing off. Just bald guys.
Yeah.
It's always interesting because like when I was younger and like on like the dating scene, it was like, I'm getting a haircut tonight. I'm ready to go up. I'm ready to get a couple of Red Bull vodkas, just like maybe get a nice Vineyard Vines shirt, wear that out. Now I'm just excited to get a haircut just because I'm like, it looks nice.
Yeah. No, there's nothing. Definitely, back in the day when I used to get my haircut, it was definitely one of those things that's like you just everything in life, you just elevated your life and your outlook on everything.
And like, do you remember the My New Haircut video?
No.
I might be too. You might be too old.
I might be too old for it.
Like Guidos that just get a haircut. He's like, I'm going out. It's my new haircut. Not now, Chief. I'm in the fucking zone. I'm gonna get some Jager bombs.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. I remember that.
Jager bombs.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about that though. That's a blast from the past for sure.
Yeah, that's like my Guido in me. It's just like it's my new haircut. But unfortunately, we're not here to talk about men's grooming.
Haircuts, yeah.
But we
unless Manscaped wants to shoot us a sponsorship, we want to talk about
Manscaped.
Yeah, get Manscaped in here as a sponsor. We'll talk about men's grooming. But other than that, we got some big news to recap from yesterday's MLB trade deadline. Before we do so, let's get into some of the news here real quick. You want to get access to the most accurate fantasy baseball rankings according to Fantasy Pros? We got DFS, betting projections, custom league advice on our Discord. A lot of things going on right now. Like I said last time with the football, we got our draft cheat sheets for football, which are super helpful. Last week I talked about it too. We have our all of our rankings as well as our first year player draft rankings for. I don't know how some leagues they've already had it. You know what I mean? Like they do that football approach where it's like as soon as the draft ends, so does the first year player draft. So if you want to get access to those rankings, you become an all access member today. If my name is sixpack.net/plans. That's the business side of things. We do have a ton of stuff to talk about because there was a slew of trades, not just yesterday, but Monday and Sunday.
Since the last show, there has been, and I was talking to one of my group chats, and I don't want to say not shamed, but I was like, this is a crazy market for the team selling. Like these were teams that we saw, Jason, were like, I don't know if it's the dynasty in me because I'm like, oh, like I've heard of these guys and they're getting traded for like a reliever. But like it's just we saw some big names. I know there was a lot of tweets that were like, only one top 100 prospect got traded, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. These are prospects that have like a lot of pedigree to them. And a lot got moved, and some of them were crazy overpays, which we saw a lot of, in my opinion. And like teams, like I didn't even know the Padres were like in it. You know, like the extra playoff teams really make you believe that you're in it, which is great for the game because it's cool to have teams buying in. But also, if there were less teams in the playoffs, we would see more trades. But there were crazy amount. We saw the Marlins. The Marlins were the equivalent to like the fantasy owner that takes over a team and they're like, all right, everybody's for sale.
Yeah.
It was a great couple days on Twitter.
Yeah. I know there wasn't like huge blockbuster deals, but the amount of trades for like baseball nerds like us that are just like even just seeing like a relief pitcher get traded and fantasy baseball enthusiasts, like like you might have a closer, right? And then he gets traded, all of a sudden he's worthless in any saves league because now he's a setup guy. So it's always fun to see. Again, not a bunch of big blockbusters, but a ton of trades that went down. A lot of overpays. And like you said, that extra wild card spot is huge now because teams, I'm not even kidding, the Cubs are in last place in their division, and they're like 6 games out of the wild card.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And I'm going to compare this to something that we both enjoy, which is NCAA football 25.
Yep.
This deadline was the equivalent of recruiting like 15 3-star recruits, but like they all have like a development trait that might turn out to be like a 4-star guy. So this was very much like let's fill out the board with some 3 stars.
Yeah.
And we'll hit on a couple.
Real quick side note, I have to share this with somebody because this happened last night. I recruited, so I'm in my dynasty. Year 1, I'm using my alma mater, Western Michigan University, 1.5 star on NCAA football. I landed a 4-star diamond left guard in my.
Seen a diamond.
Yeah, like when you do the 100% scouting, it goes either green diamond, or like a red X. It was a 4-star left guard from Ohio, so it was like he needed close to home.
Yep.
Got that with the proximity, and nobody else really. I don't know. I nailed it. I was like pumped last night. I got this. I was like, it came down to week 14. I was pretty much leading the whole way. Got him in for a visit. We won the game that he was there for. Landed a 4-star diamond, which I was looking online. Diamond pretty much means he's a 5-star. So you go up a star, right? So like if you're a 4-star diamond, you're a 5-star. If you're a 4-star at Red X, you're like a star down. So for a 1.5 star to get a basically 5-star left guard, I'm pumped. That was off a side note. I don't know.
I have another side note here. Just a little trick I've found. Recruit a
Okay.
bunch of centers, and they can basically play. If you
Oh.
switch them, they can basically play every
Any of the
single, and it's usually like a 4 to 5 overall boost if you put it left tackle. So the centers, for some reason, seem to be a little bit like overly rated. I don't know. So
hey, man. Shout out to the viewers that came for the Dynasty baseball talk and stayed for the NCAA recruiting tips.
Yeah, we should just start a new podcast.
Yeah, right.
Just recruiting with Jason and Nick.
We'll recap our yearly dynasties with our 1-star schools. But yeah, but I also thought that when a team is so like all these teams are within reach of the playoffs spot, that's why I thought I feel like more teams also buy, but also some teams are less likely to sell. Yes. The Cubs, for one of those teams, for whatever reason, Jed still decides he's going to hold on and trying to compete in this division, even though we're in dead last. No signs of life, really. So you get a lot of that, which I don't really like with that extra wild card spot. Teams aren't true sellers just because they're quote unquote, still in this last wild card spot. But whatever.
Yeah,
it also did get a lot of action. So
it's always good just to have more teams in it. But
for sure. Hey, we saw a lot of action, so let's get into some of this now. First one, which actually I think came in over the weekend, and that was Randy Arozarena going to the Mariners. He went in exchange for 2 prospects, outfielder Aiden Smith and right-hander Brody Hopkins, as well as a player to be named later, which is always fun because that's some guy that probably either can't be traded yet or they're waiting on some medical or whatever it could be. But yeah, right now he's hitting a 290, 402, 517 clip over the past 2 months. He's drastically cut back on his swing and miss, which is actually down to 19.5%. And he slightly increased his walk percentage. It's only been 18 plate appearances since going to Seattle, but he's got a 1060 on OPS, a 205 WRC plus, and has already hit a home run for them. To me, as a baseball fan, this was a great get for Seattle. We've seen Seattle for the last couple of years produce these high-end pitching and just fail short at the hitting. So to go out and get a guy like Randy, who's, again, a better, contributor when it comes to real life, because his fantasy is just mid, but I thought this was a great trade for Seattle. And also for Tampa. When Tampa Bay is reaching out and getting guys that are not top tier prospects, be on the lookout.
Yeah, for sure, man. And this was, I had no idea. I'm not going to be 30 years old. I had no idea that Arozarena wasn't 30 yet. He's someone that's really been around and has been, again, he's a better baseball player than he's a fantasy baseball player, which is fine. We still need those in life. But yeah, love the trade. And again, like you said, Seattle they have the pitching. They've always had the pitching. They just need to work on those bats. And I don't think we have this on the rundown, but adding the Justin Turner, also a great. I loved just the Mariners' approach to the deadline, where it was just we need some hitters, we need some veteran press. They're a young team.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're still like J-Rod or whatever the fuck his name is. He's hurt all the time. He's still fairly young. He can't be your leader, and that's fine. But Arozarena's been in the playoffs, I think, and Turner is just the consummate pro. So love both of those deals for the Mariners. And just like you said, when the Rays trade for someone that's outside of a top 3 prospect, you're all right, I need to remember these things.
Yeah, I know we were talking in the 30 Rock chat. There's some high praise for guys like Brody Hopkins, and watch him turn into be some stud once he goes to Tampa Bay. So there's some guys to monitor, I guess, the rest of 2024 and see what they do at the Tampa Bay system.
Pretty soon we're going to need to have a conversation about Tampa Bay, Jim.
I
don't know anymore. I don't know.
I know.
how long has it been like why do we treat them with such respect? They're like this brilliant organization.
Yeah.
Or
I
what?
feel like their minor league systems ran better than their major league ball club.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, like they're smart sometimes, but they're also fucking cheap. And they're
Yeah.
also like trade all of their guy. Like they shouldn't get credit for finding Randy Arozarena when they traded him away. Like we're like a year or two away from being like Tampa's dumb.
Yeah. And call up Junior Caminero, you cowards. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
You trade for Connor Norby and send him down. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, man. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, that was one of the good trades. I thought that happened over the weekend. That was one of those ones. Someone else saw the tweet, but he got traded and then just stayed and watched the game as a fan. That was awesome. Another big trade here is that's going to be Jack Flaherty going to the Dodgers. This one was pretty much, there were some rumors out there. There was Crochet and some other guys, but realistically, Jack Flaherty was the number one pitching arm out there on the market. The Tigers got back first baseman Thyron Lorenzo and shortstop Trey Sweeney. Flaherty's been great this year. Been a resurgence in Detroit. Right now, he's got a 2.95 ERA and 18 starts. Among pitchers with at least 100 innings pitched, his 32% strikeout rate ranks 5th in all of baseball. He's also trimmed his walk rate down to like 4.5%. And that was all just changing from St. Louis to Detroit. So this guy seems to be a very big on maybe I'm reading the tea leaves too much, but a change of scenery kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And now he gets to go to arguably the best National League team.
Scenery ever.
Yeah. Talk about going to get some run support. This is going to be a huge boost to his fantasy value if you have him out there in not just redraft, but Dynasty. Because he might be a rental, actually. I forgot to look. He's a rental, right?
Yes. It was a 1-year deal, but still, like you're not going to leave the Dodgers if they want you to come back.
Right.
So, yeah, man, this was a crazy one. There was a brief period, I don't know if it was mentioned in the 30 Rock chat, but it was like Roman Anthony has been scratched. And all day, it's like Red Sox reporters have been like, they're in on Jack Flaherty. And I said to myself, if they trade Roman Anthony for Jack Flaherty, I will be done. Just because of the whole rental thing. So he's definitely a rental.
Yeah.
Great deal for the Dodgers. It's crazy to say they need pitching.
Yep.
Like you can't depend on Kershaw they got Buehler's hurt.
Yep.
Yamamoto's hurt. Like it's crazy to think that they needed pitching, and they really did, and they addressed it by getting the best pitcher that was traded. So I love it. I don't love catching prospects. So like if the catching prospect is like the headliner in a deal, I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever. So I don't love it for Detroit, but if that's what you get, it's what you get. So but definitely pumped to see him in some games in October. Because always loved some Jack Flaherty. He just kind of like he was like a darling his first like couple of years, and then he just kind of fell off.
As a Cub fan, I hated him as a Cardinal. So, and not only the catcher, they also got Trey Sweeney, which is a name of recognition. Pretty high draft pick. The one thing I will mention, though, I would say, I would say that was the one thing I would mention, though. This was his now third organization in basically a year. Yeah. He was traded at. Was he traded at the deadline last? I'm pretty sure he was traded at the deadline last year from the Yankees to the Dodgers. Now he's going from the Dodgers to Detroit. So that kind of says something. Although he's been very solid, pretty good hit tool, got a lot of power, got some speed, and he actually should probably see some playing time in Detroit here. Once that deadline passes, I wouldn't be shocked. He was playing for AAA, LA's AAA affiliate, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him get some playing time in Detroit. Like not like they're playing for anything. I would obviously wait probably after the deadline. But I think just something to monitor for Trey Sweeney. Again, he was a high draft pick, had a lot of helium. But then the trades. Also, another thing to mention too is I don't know if you saw reports. The Yankees actually backed out of a trade for
Yeah, I
Jack
did read
Flaherty due
that.
to medicals.
Yeah,
So that was a little alarming because that was what really kind of made him run him out of town in St. Louis was the
yep,
medical issues. So just something to monitor going forward. But again, if you have Flaherty, especially in redraft, you're ecstatic with the move to LA.
for sure.
This next one's more of like a whole. I wanted to encapsulate a whole team. The next two actually, and that's the Orioles becoming like just legit buyers. More or less, I think because they just have like this slew of prospects that they don't know what to do with.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. They acquired Eloy Jimenez, Trevor Rogers, Zach Eflin, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and Gregory Soto. Almost all of those yesterday at the deadline. Zach Eflin, I think, was maybe on Monday.
yeah,
Um, but hey, they went out, identified a need in pitching. They got Trevor Rogers, Zach Eflin to anchor that rotation with the both Means and Bradish being hurt. Filled in those roles with Rogers and Eflin. The outlook I think is greater for Eflin just because Rogers has been kind of bad
yeah,
not just this year but last few years. The end of last year and then this year he's been kind of bad. The acquisition of Eloy was kind of shocking. That was almost like, hey, we don't have to give up much. This guy has upside. If he could just stay on the field, why not take a gamble? You're pretty much one of the top 3 teams in the AL. It's worth taking a gamble on an Eloy Jimenez, even if you just need him as like a fill-in for some injuries down the stretch. If he
yeah,
himself can stay healthy, I think that's great. You address the bullpen by getting Dominguez and Gregory Soto, who are actually Soto's been a little bit down since leaving Detroit, but both Dominguez and Soto can be high leverage arms for that organization. You're talking about guys. They're missing Felix Bautista and Colombe in that in the bullpen. So I thought what Baltimore did is just going out and finally realizing, hey, we have all these prospects. We're an actual World Series contender. Let's get some acquisitions here. I thought that was really good on that organization.
yeah. I'm with you too. The Eloy one was weird just because they have like just bring up Kobe Mayo. Like
Yeah.
there's just so many. Like I totally get it. Like Eloy will be an elite platoon guy, which is fine. Like have him hit when he hits,
Yep.
and that's fine. But I just really want to see Mayo up. It was great to see them call up Jackson Holiday, hit a grand slam today,
Yep.
which is cool. But yeah, I mean Baltimore's good. Like they should be buying and again they didn't touch. I mean Norby might have been top 5, but like they didn't touch the Basallo. I don't know if that's how you say his
Mayo.
name.
Yeah.
Any of the outfielders, but again, they traded outfield. They traded for an outfielder
I know.
when Kershed can't get consistent at bat. When
Yeah.
like realistically, he's better than you, like as an overall baseball player. So it was weird, but hey, you know what? Let him. Like they
Yeah.
got a million prospects that all look the same.
Yeah.
Just trade them and see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely almost like the GM has almost that Pokemon
Yes.
aspect of life where it's got to catch them all. It's got to have everyone. Everyone that's out there on the deadline, we're going to acquire them.
Yeah, I saw. I think it was like this is who the Orioles just traded for Eloy, and it was that woman's soccer player, Megan Rapone, or
Yeah,
something. It was just a picture of her, and I was like, it looks just like everyone in their prospect.
it really does. They have a type for sure. Well, there was with Baltimore being buyers. I think also not a shock, but it's the amount of people that they did actually trade away was the Sox were one of them for one, but that organization's trash. We don't even talk about them. We talked about at the beginning of the show, Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
I mean, they just legit just sold everybody and anybody that's on that team. Anybody worth value. I saw a tweet. I wish I still had it. They had a picture of their playoff roster from last year.
Yep.
And I think like 6 of them are left on the team of the like 27 that were on the roster. Like 6 or 7 of them are left. That was also kind of shocking, kind of funny. Obviously, with the new front office there, they are looking to switch things up. anyone that had value. Now they did get some value back for Tanner Scott. I thought was a pretty good return.
Yes.
Josh Bell, the return wasn't great, but that was a weird situation too. They put him on waivers on Sunday or Monday. They DFA'd him on Monday or Sunday just to kind of make him known that he was available. But it's like it's the trade deadline. Everyone's making calls, and you can find out if he was available. I don't know. That was weird. But they did trade Josh Bell. Everybody was basically sold on that team. And good on them because at least they have a vision going forward, I guess. And I think the biggest sell from them was that our probably the biggest trade of, in my opinion, fantasy wise, and that was Jazz Chisholm going to the Yankees. Again, yeah, I think if not the biggest, which one? He was definitely like up there. He was at Sunday. That deal went through. There was a lot of rumblings that he was obviously on the block because Miami selling everybody. But he ends up going to the Yankees for 3 prospects: catcher Agustin Ramirez, and then some couple of infielders, Jaron Cerna and Abraham Ramirez. Again, not super big names, which is also kind of shocking. Miami was just looking to acquire quantity over quality. Yeah.
Ramirez is pretty good. I just learned about him maybe within the last month or two.
Yeah.
But he's someone that I think he might even be up at the by September for them, just because it's also good to call some of these guys up so your fans can be excited going into next season.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one was definitely the biggest one for me. More specifically, the big thing for me happened maybe Monday when they were like, he's going to play third base.
Yeah.
And if you go into next season and Jazz Chisholm has outfield, second base, and third base eligibility, that's going to be huge. And especially now because he still could, it all depends on the league, but you might still get that second base eligibility for next year, which is going to be great. And wasted no time earning his pinstripes. 4 home runs in 3 games or 4 games. And I think there were 2 2-homer nights.
Yep.
Very interested to when things do start to go poorly, because Jazz Chisholm, things do go poor. He's very streaky, which is fine. He's a good player, hell of a center fielder. But when things start to go poorly, I don't know if his shtick and gimmick will go well in the Bronx. But you know what? You've got to live it up.
That was one of the notes I said is the best thing about this deal is him going to the most boringest team in the MLB with the Yankees. I say that in a matter of they're the no fun team, right? We don't have facial hair. We don't pimp home runs. We play the game like it's 1899. It's so fun to see him go there and bring that swag that he brings. And he's he's off to another huge year. He's definitely on pace, and he's probably going to definitely break the 2020 season, which he's never really had, but he's always been really close. He's in 1930, 15 and 30. He'll definitely get it. He's only 3 home runs shy of it right now, with about another 2 months to go. He's actually cut down on his strikeouts a lot so far. I think there's a huge increase of value for Jazz fantasy wise. He goes from an awful lineup in Miami to arguably one of the best offensive lineups in baseball in New York. I haven't seen where he's been batting though. Have you seen where they've been putting him? Top of the order?
So I have him in my main league, so I am on top of this. No,
sure.
It's 6.
Okay.
I think he batted 7th today. But again, it's gonna be a touch and go thing. Let's see where it fits, because I forget I think it was Severino. He came out a week or 2 ago and was just they have 2 hitters. The rest of them are all kind of just average.
Yeah.
So I think they're working on not having such you can't have Chisholm, Soto, Judge
all in a row.
DJ LeMahieu batting 180.
Yeah.
So definitely interested to see where things are at a month from now. I just need him to have pinstriped hair. I think that would be so sick. And this is coming from a Red Sox fan. I love Jazz. And I'm mad that he went to New York, but I'm excited to see where I come because we're gonna see a lot of him because he's in New York. He's got a big market, so I'm definitely pumped for this.
Yeah. Like I said, that was one of the bigger acquisitions of this trade deadline. It was always fun to see a guy like that get moved. A couple more fantasy relevant trades here. The next one here is Lane Thomas going to Cleveland. The trio prospects go back to Washington. Left-hander Alex Clemente, infielders Jose Tina, Rafael Ramirez. Lane Thomas had a huge 2023. Great power speed combo guy. One of those underrated, overlooked fantasy players. He's already got 28 stolen bases this year. Power numbers are down this year. He's only got 8 home runs. But he's playing for a miserable Washington team. I'm really excited to see what Cleveland can do with him. They're batting him second in that lineup. So it goes Quan, Thomas, and then I think Ramirez. So obviously the runs are going to be there still, more so than they were in Washington. Yeah. I like to trade for Cleveland. Cleveland's always one of those teams that's like they just find these guys that are like not the superstar, but they're always like solid producers. But yeah, I liked it. I have Lane Thomas shares in many leagues. So I'm excited to see. The only thing that sucked is there's already a short slate this week, and Lane Thomas, Cleveland only plays 5 games. He was traded on Monday, so we didn't play Monday's game for Washington. Played in Wednesday's game. No. Tuesday's game for Cleveland. So he's already been down. There's only 4 games this week, but whatever. That's like my issues, not anyone else.
You texted me too. This was before, and I was like, it's Lane Thomas, easy. And then he got traded.
Yep. I was one of those things. And then not only that, but Lawrence Butler went like 2 for 2 last night, or 2 for 3 with a home run and a stolen base. But whatever, I can't really control that. I didn't know I did not think Lane Thomas was a bat that was going to be moved at the deadline. That was not one of those names that were out there. That's like Lane Thomas is going to be traded. Yeah, exactly. So it went from do I want 6 games of Lane Thomas versus 5 games of Lawrence to now like 4 games of Lane Thomas to 5 games of Lawrence. But whatever, he was like 1 for 4 in his debut with Cleveland. Had a run scored, so he'll be just fine going to Cleveland. If anything, you'll see a little bit more production, I think. Another one here was Jorge Soler to the Braves. Right now, it seems like Atlanta's trying to get the band back together from 2021 after he had that monster season at the end of the 2021 season. The power numbers are down this year, which would probably be expected when you play in Hampshire games in San Francisco. But he is currently on pace to hit over 20 home runs. His batted ball metrics also are kind of down this year. His average exit velocity is down, while his hard hit rate is also a little bit down. But again, a lot of that could be from playing in San Francisco. And I saw today, I was watching the game, they put him in the leadoff spot versus Milwaukee today, which was kind of shocking. Yeah, I don't know if that was just like I don't know what that was about. I thought that was very strange to see a guy like Jorge Soler getting the leadoff spot. But that's where they had him. So interesting to kind of see where they put him. I'm sure they'll put him more down the order
especially that the Braves are so weird, man.
I know.
Like, it's literally the same outfield the last time Acuna got hurt with fucking Duvall's out there, Soler, and Eddie Rosario. Like, it's just like you want to root for them because they're the Braves. It's like a good team to like root for. But I'm just like they needed to do more.
Yeah, it was weird. I thought they probably should have looked to maybe get another pitcher. I know that they like to think that they have the best pitchers around, so they don't need to acquire pitchers. But yeah, it was a weird one. But they definitely have a type too, right? They love the power hitters, Duvall, Soler, Ozuna. They love that power in that lineup. Matt Olson's another one, although he's been really bad this year. All right, well, we wouldn't be on Deck Circle podcast if we didn't talk a little homerism here. I don't have much to say other than I thought what the Cubs did was shitty. I wasn't a huge Paredes fan. I'm not a huge Paredes guy. I think he's a decent bat. I'm not a huge Morel guy either. I do like
I
the
didn't
upside of
understand this
Morel.
like at all.
What's that?
I didn't get this at all.
No, I thought like you almost kind of just traded a better version what Parade, like the upside of Morel is Paredes with power. Obviously not the
Yep.
defensive side because Morel's defense is trash, but the upside of Morel, I think, was better than what the floor is of Paredes. That makes sense, right? Like Paredes is going to be a solid bat. He's got a great floor, but he's not going to do anything that wows you and gets you like, oh my God, this guy's amazing.
Yeah, he's fine. But yeah, I didn't get it. And like, who's age wise, it's Morel, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then they
They're pretty
added
similar, I believe.
It was Morel plus.
Yeah, it was two prospects. One of them was a really good pitching prospect, Hunter Beige or Bidgie.
Yes, yeah.
Flamethrower. It was a good one too. So I don't.
just
I
don't
get it because Paredes has control, but so does Morel.
exactly. So they must either maybe something was going on like behind the scenes. They were like, maybe Morel likes too much Malort or something. I don't know. Like it just seems like it would seem odd when I saw it, and I was like, okay. Like the Cubs are, I don't know. It was a move just for the sake of making a move.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy Morel that has 20 home runs, and it's July 31st. So he's definitely on his way to be hitting 30 plus
he's
home
hit
runs.
2 home runs since he joined. Like I don't know.
I wasn't a fan of it. I don't mind giving up Morel, but what they got in return, I thought was whatever. What can you do? You know what I mean? I feel like I don't want to talk going on forever, but yeah, I didn't really like what the Cubs did. But one of the trades I did like involved was your team, Quinn Preister for Nick York, two top prospects just being swapped. I thought it was awesome.
These are my favorite trades. Just like the 1-for-1 clean, just like we have too many pitching prospects. You have too many middle infield prospects. We don't want to lose him in the Rule 5 draft. Like it's just, and what I really like about this is the biggest acquisition this offseason for the Red Sox was Andrew Bailey. Mm-hmm. And that is their pitching coach.
Yep.
This is the perfect project for Andrew Bailey because Quinn Preister is a hell of a pitcher in AAA. Yep. Unbelievable. And if you can just mold that, so like this is not a trade for this season, and I'm fully okay with that because Nick York was not going to contribute to the Red Sox this season.
Yep.
But going into next year, Quinn Preister is someone that I am going to be buying and buying. Whether it's a Dynasty, whether it's a flyer and a redraft. The stuff that he has is so good. He has an incredible mix. He's got like 4 or 5 pitches. And like that's something that we don't really see with the Red Sox. Like we have like a Nick Pivetta. Like we don't have that one pitching prospect other than like Bayo, but like Bayo isn't. The ceiling for Quinn Preister is so much higher. So I'm definitely excited. And like, you know what? If you swing and you miss, I don't care at this point because Nick York's going to be a good player. But we have Marcelo Mayer, we have Vaughn Grisham, we have all of these other middle infield guys. So definitely worth the risk.
Yeah, one thing, when you look back, right? This is like almost like reading the tea leaves. When you look at all of Pittsburgh Pirates pitchers that have been traded away, the list can go on and on. I mean, of top tier talent that leaves Pittsburgh and becomes fantasy superstars. Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow. You know what I mean? Like Chris Archer to an extent when he was on Pittsburgh was, along those lines. So it's like when you look at a guy like Quinn Preister, first round draft pick, been great at the minors. Like you said, he just needed a little bit of molding because he has been a little bit of a rough start. And with I think he's had like 5 or 6 starts for Pittsburgh. A little bit of mixed results, but I think, hey, I'm rooting for him. Glendale Heights, Illinois kid, about 5-10 minutes from here is where he's from. So I've always been a huge Quinn Preister fan. Yeah. And again, like you said, Nick York's not only not gonna help the Red Sox this year. Nick York is what he is, right? He's a really good hitter, but that's all he pretty much. There's not a lot of power. There's not a lot of speed.
Contact. That's what.
Yeah, it's just like a very average player.
If we're depending on Nick York in 2 years, there's a bigger problem.
Exactly. So I thought it was a really good deal.
It was an exciting one. You see it, and it was like they were like Nick York, and I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, sure, I'm into it.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I liked it for both teams, but more so for Boston because I like the profile of Quinn Preister a little bit better. And I'm actually curious to see how. I'm curious to see. Do you think they get him in the rotation? I mean, they're still competing, so I don't think they're gonna
right now. Not like in it, but they're like
close enough. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in the bullpen just to like ease him in.
Yeah.
Not ease him in, but like just get him acclimated. I just read a tweet that Kenley Jansen slipped and hurt his back. So that's fun. So maybe it's a good thing they added some bullpen pieces. But everyone has bullpen pieces. That was the most relievers I've ever seen traded, like ever.
And for like significant value too. Like most of the time you go and get that good value on closers. There was a lot of like just like high leverage, like setup men getting traded for high value.
Padres traded for 3 of them. Like it was crazy. But yeah, and like even the Red Sox got Luis Garcia from the Angels. He's been great. They traded 4 prospects. Like that's and like I think I've heard of 2 of them, which is like still like that's pretty crazy for a 37-year-old like relief pitcher.
Right. And they brought back your boy Paxton.
Yeah, they got Paxton back. They traded for Lucas Sims. They did what they needed to do. Was very confused by the Danny Jansen one.
Yeah.
But you know what? They just had to get a Reese because of what happened last week. Got capped out Quadro. Put him in Walker.
Exactly. Let them know what's up.
That like they were worried that they were gonna fight. Like
really?
I guess Darren Duran, it was like a Chris Paul sitch where they like went to their locker room to fight.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, I'm pumped for the Netflix to show that.
All right, well that's all I got for this week's the trade deadline recap. Any other trade you wanted to talk about? I mean, we pretty much covered. I didn't cover all of them. There's just way too many to cover. But I thought like
majority of them.
Majority of the fantasy relevant ones, right? Like we don't need to talk about the fantasy impact of Lucas Sims to the Boston Red Sox, even though we did. But
yeah, I know. See, we touch everything, Jason.
Exactly. All right, well, hey, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have fun on your honeymoon.
Oh yeah,
can't wait to hear all about it.
Oh yeah, we'll just have a whole Italian show.
Oh okay, yeah, a whole recap of your honeymoon.
All right, see you, buddy.
All right, guys, see ya.